Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining from. Thank you for being here. Welcome to another round of live Q&A. We are going to chat about whatever you want today because I don't have any demos prepared. So hopefully you got some questions. Drop them in the chat. Start your questions with the letter Q and it'll make it easier for me to spot the questions on my screen here. So with that, we already got a bunch of good questions in the chat. I see a bunch of people coming in from all over the world. We've got Media Rex from Las Vegas. I guess I will be seeing you very shortly at NAB in Vegas in just 2 weeks. So in 1 week, I will be streaming here on Sunday. And then in 2 weeks, I will not be streaming here because I will be at the show floor at NAB and it opens at 10. So we are just going to not do a stream on Sunday. And instead, I'm going to be running around filming content at the booths and little interviews and showing you what's new and going on at the show and posting it to Instagram and YouTube on the same day or possibly next day if we get behind on production. But okay, we got a bunch of great questions coming in. So let's go take a look at the chat. I see greetings from Argentina. Thanks for joining. Happy Easter from Northeast India. Okay, here's a question from MMM Video Productions. I purchased an ATEM ISO Extreme. I can only get one program recording. I'm not getting all 3 camera recordings using a Samsung T7 SSD. Sounds like you just haven't enabled the setting. I think that's it. I can show you really quick how to do that. Because the good news is it's not that hard. I'm gonna go connect to my regular ATEM. This is the BTS, the ATEM that does the BTS stream for members before the show starts. And oh, I forgot it's actually still streaming. I should probably turn that stream off. And there we go, off air. This is an ATEM Mini SDI ISO, but they all work the same way. The ATEM Mini Extreme ISO works the same way. So what you do is, oh, let me make sure I'm not going to show my stream key really quick. Yep, I would have. Okay, so over in the Output tab, there is the section Record. That's too zoomed in. Record. In that section, there is a checkbox, which is ISO Record All Inputs. If that's not checked, it acts just like a regular ATEM. And if it is checked, then you get all your recordings on the drive. So it will be, the only downside is that you can't turn off recording certain angles. So it'll record all 8, even if there aren't cameras connected. But they aren't big files. They just end up being small files because they're just black video frames. But that's the checkbox to look for. That should do it for you. So you say you enabled all cameras, but still won't record all cameras. If you have that setting and it's checked, then there's nothing else to check. So let me show you what the folders should look like. Oh, I don't have a drive plugged in. I don't think I have I'm trying to think if I have somewhere a folder of ISO files that I can show. It's not seeing anything handy really quick. Darn. Yeah, basically what it does is it makes a separate folder of the ISO files. So you get your one program file and then a separate folder and then all your files are in there. If that's not working, I don't know what's going on and there's something very wrong and that sounds like a Blackmagic support question at that point. It doesn't show any folders on the drive, just one file. Something is very wrong, and I would definitely go talk to Blackmagic because that's the only setting that you need to check to make that work. Okay, lots of other good questions here. Let's see. Oh, on the ATEM Extreme ISO, while we're talking about that, how would you recommend which hard drive model to use with ATEM Extreme to avoid freezing with 4 cameras and 2 microphone inputs? So the Blackmagic does do a lot of testing on drives, and they publish their own lists. So if you go to support, go to ATEM, and then down to this middle section, they will have for every ATEM family, ATEM Mini Pro ISO and Extreme ISO recommended USB-C drives. Interestingly, last updated November 2021, but I guess that means nothing has changed since then. But if you click on it, they will show you the drives that they have tested that work well. And I do recommend sticking to this list. It is, it's possible that you have perfectly fine luck on drives not on this list, but if you are using a drive not on the list and something doesn't work, you're not going to get a good response from their support, and they're going to tell you, well, use a recommended drive. So there's a good range of drives on this list, luckily, both sizes and brands and price. So you can pick what you want. One thing that I did notice is that there's actually relatively few 2 terabyte drives. They tend to, just because I think in order to get 2 terabyte drives, you end up having to do weird hacks on the drive to make that work well. So, and then those hacks aren't compatible with all things that use it. So some of these cap out at 1 terabyte. I think there was a 2 terabyte Samsung at one point on the list, and then they took it off because they're having problems with it. So, but I usually use 1 terabyte drives, and this one, I still like this one a lot. It's actually hard to find it because it's out of production now, but that's this one. Still one of my favorites. Oh, this is actually 2 terabyte, and I've had good luck with this one, even though it's not on the list anymore. And then the other ones I've used are SanDisk, the 500 and 1 terabyte versions, and I have an OWC drive. I don't remember which one it is, though. And those are the only ones I've used. But yeah, definitely stick to this list. Let's see if there's any other things I can get to on ATEMs before we move on. From Corway Film Institute, hello. With many ATEMs in my work and many PTZ cameras and used via NDI, eager to combine those worlds. It's a tough one. They're definitely not like, it's possible, but they're definitely not made to work together just because they're kind of competitors. The NDI, so in order to get NDI video into your ATEM, yeah, you're gonna have to convert it somewhere, and they do make boxes that will convert NDI to HDMI or SDI. I have one that I like using, which is a Magewell device, and it does very well, but it is expensive. And other ones I've used are the Bird Dog Play and an Apple TV, and mixed success with those, I will say. They tend to be pickier about the video format of NDI that they're getting, and sometimes they will skip a frame here and there and that kind of stuff. The Magewell one is pretty solid, though. But that's, I'm trying to think like what, yeah, because the ATEM is never going to add NDI support for video input. So yeah, you're going to have to convert to video feed at some point. Will SRT be supported as an input? Not on the ATEM minis, but the ATEM Television Studio, which is the kind of, which is this desktop form factor one, this one. The ISO version has the streaming bridge built in, which is a way to get video into this over the network. Where is that? So where is it? Do they streaming sources was what they call it. Okay. So right now they have RTMP input with this, but the the streaming bridge itself, the actual streaming bridge does do, oh no, that's in the ATEM section. That's confusing. Where is it? Pretty sure they added SRT to that. Didn't they add that? Oh, right. It's like gone from the website, even though it's still. Yeah. Okay. So in this update, they added SRT streaming to the streaming bridge. This is all to say that I would not be surprised if they add SRT input to the ATEMs that have the built-in streaming bridge, because it's all the same stuff. So this might get SRT input. I would never expect that from the minis, because these just work totally differently, have much less processing power in them. SRT is a standard video format and not proprietary NDI, so that's the reason they can add support for that. But that video, actually, I think this is the week it's going to come out. I have a video explaining SRT versus RTMP, kind of at a more technical level than I normally do videos on, so we'll see how it goes. But if you're curious, that's going to come out probably Tuesday or Wednesday. What else can we chat about ATEMs? Definitely put a Q before your question if you want me to see it. The Magewell Pro Convert is rock solid. I agree. Yeah, I've been really happy with that. From JHB, how would you connect a drone to an ATEM Extreme to show live drone footage on a live stream? I've been wanting to do this myself, but it's challenging as one person, just because if you're flying a drone, that's really all you should be doing, not also running a live stream. But the short answer is there is one controller from DJI, and one of their controllers has an HDMI port on it. Let's see, camera, and it does work with the Mini, or Mini, I think 3 or something, 3 or 4. But if we go find the controller, I don't know how to find the controllers on their website. There they are. So the controllers that you get in the kit are like this one or the one without a screen, and those don't have an HDMI port. But once you go to the Pro, this actually has an HDMI output. So this will have somewhere, yeah, mini HDMI. Oh, great. Okay, so mini HDMI, not micro, not full. But yeah, you can grab video from that mini HDMI port into a switcher. That's going to be the best option, just because it's using their, whatever you see on the screen is what will be output. So you're using their nice video link and that kind of thing. The other way to do it, which is going to be much less reliable, is doing the RTMP streaming, which is not on every controller either, I think. So this one supports live streaming. So basically, the controller pushes RTMP out, and then you have to capture the RTMP somewhere and convert that to HDMI. But that's going to be much less reliable, because it's going to use another network link for the video. So so getting a controller with HDMI will be the best option. This one must have it too, because this is like, no, well, that's a weird question. There is an HDMI port here. Let's see. Yeah, video out, HDMI. So I don't know if they have a picture of this one. Oh well. But yeah, get a controller with HDMI. That's your best option. Michael says we do this. Oops. We do this for our track live streams. Definitely make sure the controller is compatible with your drone. Yeah, they're not all compatible with all drones, so double check that too. Sean says I've used a smart controller. I haven't updated drones lately, but it only works with Pro model drones. Okay. Yeah, they do have a compatibility list for that, but the good news is there's 2 controllers with HDMI. So yeah, RC Pro, which works with a lot of the mini drones. Again, not every mini drone, but somewhere in here they do have a list of of, there it is. That's weird. No, I know it works with one of the minis. I think maybe you have to go to the minis specs. Mini, so I have the Mini 3 Pro, which thank goodness, because they did a weird thing with remote ID on the Mini 3, which is the Mini 3 with the small batteries cannot broadcast remote ID. They turned it off if you have a regular battery. If you install the big battery and it becomes bigger than 249 grams, then it turns on remote ID, which is really annoying because that means if anybody is registered their drone because they use it for commercial purposes, even if it's under 249 grams with your small battery, then you can't fly it because it needs to be broadcasting remote ID. So you have to get a bigger battery for it and fly it with a big battery in order for it to broadcast remote ID, which is annoying. And this one, thankfully, and also weirdly, which is the one I bought, luckily, can broadcast remote ID even with the small battery. Totally random, totally weird. So, okay, what I was looking for was somewhere in here they list the controllers that it works with. RC N1, RC. I swear it worked with a Pro. I'm gonna have to track this down. I know there's a reference to it somewhere. Ours with the Air 2S has full HDMI. Okay. We use the Air 2S with the smart controller. Been pretty great. Lots of votes for the smart controller. Best clean feed, Mavic Pro 2 and Zoom. Or go full Inspire and get SDI out. Yeah, sure. RC Pro from DJI has a clean HDMI output. Yeah, and I swear the RC Pro can be used with at least one of the mini models. I just need to find that reference. Anyway, I've been wanting to do a demo of that on YouTube, but I'm gonna need to have at least one other person with me in order to make that work. So, also it's been just rainy and gray in Portland for the last several months, so not super interesting. But now that it's getting to be nice weather out, I might actually go try that and do a little live stream from the river or something. We can do a quick little drone flight. Sean says, any speculation of where Blackmagic will go with the ATEM, especially in light of much more competition in the last couple of years? I know, it's been really interesting. It's impossible to guess, frankly, but let's see. So their ATEM mini line hasn't been updated in a while now. They did add the SDI versions, which are nice. But they're fundamentally the same product as the ATEM Mini Extreme. It's just different ports. So they don't really do any new features. The new ones that have been coming out are this line more recently. So definitely different audience for these based on size and price and features. There's obviously the ISO version of 4K missing. Don't know if they can pull that off, but that's an opportunity. And then the new rack ones have been great. They launched the 4K Constellation 4ME, which is like the 4K version of the one that I'm using, which is this one, which is also really great. But yeah, again, these are fundamentally the same. They're all really the same thing. It's just how many of the different internal components they have. So it's like how many upstream keys, how many multi-view outs, how many multi-viewers, how many MEs, that kind of stuff, right? So, but they all work the same way at the end of the day. So I don't know. Are we gonna see a new product category in this sort of lowest tier lineup from them? Hard to say. I feel like it's not this year if it's gonna happen, but that's again not based on any actual information. Just because they have a lot going on, but you never know. Also, these product development cycles are years long, so it's like. If they launch something at NAB this year, it's been being worked on for the last like 3 years, right? I don't know. There's a lot of competition now in this lower end range though, for sure. We're getting everything from clones of ATEM minis that work basically the same way to slight upgrades, like including a screen, or totally different approaches, but in the same kind of target market, like the YoloBox, where I wouldn't call that a ATEM clone at all. It's a totally different kind of thing, but similar price point and similar type of market they're trying to reach. So is Blackmagic going to try to do something like that? I don't know. Probably not. That seems like too far-fetched for them, but who knows? Who knows? You can never predict with them. Blackmagic needs a cellular portable encoder. That'd be an interesting one. Okay, moving on from Blackmagic. There's some other good questions here. Seabird says, did I enjoy the YoloBox live stream? Looks like it went well. Yeah, it was fun. So Frank has been doing live streams on Wednesdays US, Thursday morning for him for the last couple of weeks now. And it's been fun to, he does it this similar format as this, where it's, you know, streamed to YouTube and Facebook, and have viewers ask questions, and he will talk about the answer questions and talk about plans for their new updates and things like that. And he's been pretty successful with it, which is great. And I was a guest on their stream last week, and let me grab, where was that? Yeah, 3 days ago, Wednesday. So this was, he streams with the YoloBox, which is good. And we used the YoloBox remote guest feature to bring me into the stream. So here I am on the stream. I'm using my same setup here. That's why it looks the same, but I was just using the browser. He sent me a link, like a YoloBox remote guest link. I joined in my browser and just chose my ATEM as the webcam. So, you know, super straightforward for anybody to join a live stream that way. And it worked really well. So I was just on there the whole time. I could hear him through the browser, and I was using headphones. And then my audio was being sent back to him. The one weird thing, which now he has an hour of firsthand experience with, is that the YoloBox remote guest feature, if you plug in headphones to the YoloBox, you're getting program audio. So you hear everything, including your own microphone. Now, if you're not the talent, and if you're just using the YoloBox as your, if you're behind the scenes, then that's fine. You hear whoever's talking and all that. But as soon as you have a remote guest, the person who's the remote guest needs to be able to, or the person hosting needs to be able to hear the remote guest. And there isn't a separate audio mix in the YoloBox. What it meant was he was hearing himself on a delay the entire time he was talking to me. So you can see he has one earbud in because he kept like taking it out every now and then or putting it back in and talking. Every time he would talk, he would hear back his own voice, which is extremely distracting. I think he called it torture at one point. And he did very well, like, on the show, despite that. But now he has firsthand experience with how important it is to have that feature. Christopher says, so maybe that's why he posted the screenshot of adding mix minus on the Ultra. I think so. Because now he's able to convince the product developers, the development team, to prioritize that feature, because he understands finally how important that is. So hopefully soon, YoloBox will get a mix minus feature where you can turn off your own microphone in your headphones so that the remote guest feature actually works properly. But other than the audio on his end, like from my perspective as a guest, it was flawless. It was great. Like I was just in a browser, didn't have to do anything special, just joined from whatever webcam I had. It happened to be the ATEM, but it could have been anything. So it was nice. It was a good demo. It looks like a couple other questions. Andrew says, do you know how to get the program audio on all the ISO recordings from the YoloBox Ultra, similar to how it works on the ATEM? I thought it did. Now I'm not sure. No, I don't. I thought that's just how it worked, but apparently not. Program audio on all the ISO recordings. No, okay, yeah. It's right. So on the ATEM, the ISO recordings weirdly have program audio, not their individual audio from the cameras. On the YoloBox, it's the opposite, which is actually kind of how I want the ATEM to work, where each angle gets its own audio, and there's only one copy of the program audio. I actually think YoloBox does it correct in this case, and the ATEM doesn't, because in the ATEM, you end up with separate audio files for all the ISO audio. So if you're actually using the audio from individual cameras, you have to like do an extra step of merging the audio files back. So I don't know if I would even want them YoloBox to change to work that way, because I feel like it's easier to just have the one program audio file that if you only ever care about the program audio, you just drop that into your timeline when you're editing, and that's fine. So yeah, I don't know. Graham says, hi from Edinburgh. Daylight savings time confusion still abounds. Yeah, didn't the UK and Europe do daylight savings today? So everything's an hour off again. Let's see. Frankie says, in Companion, using the presets for the ATEM in transitions, there's no cut, only auto. Is that true? That's weird. Let's see. Let's take a look really quick. Here's Companion. Let's go to a blank page. Do I have any blank pages? Presets. Under ATEM, we have, what was your question? Whoa, where did it go? No cut, only auto in transitions. So, no, it's there. I see cut. So you can do a cut button or an auto button. This is the, let's see, I'm in the ATEM SDI, which is the small one. I believe it's the same in Constellation too. Transitions. Yeah, it should be there. I don't know why it's missing for you. Keith is here. Sorry, this time it's been hard to make. Yeah, sorry. It's always tough to figure out what's the best time for people. Jules says, so you're saying at this time the YoloBox Pro can't do proper audio guest because Mix Minus is not operating correctly yet. Yeah, so the problem is that right now there is no Mix Minus feature in any of the YoloBoxes, which means if you have a guest on and you want to talk to them, not just have them broadcast, because that's another way to use it, which is just like they're just broadcasting and you're not really talking to them with a conversation. But if you're trying to have a conversation and you want to hear what they're saying, then with headphones in, you will also hear your own microphone played back to you on a slight delay, which is extremely distracting. But they are working on fixing it, at least for the Ultra. Hopefully they can port that to the Pro as well. That is obviously more processing, so we'll see if they can make it work. IDJ Mike says, on an SLR camera using 2 SD slots, why do some say it's not a good idea to use micro SD cards and an adapter? They're much cheaper and some are just as fast supporting 4K recording. I think they're less durable. I know there's a bunch that are fast. I would triple check all the ratings on those cards because the ratings are super hard to understand. Triple check the ratings. It's not just the max write speed that's listed on the card. It's like the classes and the U's and the A's and all that stuff. It can work, but I would generally trust a bigger SD card more than the micro just because they have to take less shortcuts in building them. I know there's like action cameras and stuff that do 4K recording that require a lot of bandwidth too, but they're just more fragile, the micro SD cards, I guess. But yeah, triple check all the ratings on the cards because the way that they get marketed is extremely misleading. And it's just a disaster, frankly. Have I downloaded the Elgato Prompter 1.9 update? I did. I haven't really used the features in it because I don't use it for the teleprompter or anything. But the one thing that I was excited about is the little crosshair feature, which unfortunately doesn't play well with Mac spaces. So when you can kind of see it here. This teleprompter's up there. And do you see how on this screen there's a little red plus? It's really hard to see on that camera, but there's a little red plus in the middle, and I positioned it right where my center of my lens is. So if I'm looking at that, I'm looking at the lens. However, if I go, because I have this browser in full screen showing the comment, for some reason it doesn't stick on top. It's like tied to that space. So I lose it here, which is annoying. So they're gonna have to fix that. If I didn't have this browser in full screen, then it shows up because now I see it there because I don't have a second Mac Spaces thing on it. What do they call it now? It's not Spaces. It's desktops, I guess. Yeah. So kind of annoying, but I did download it. Yeah. Neil says nobody trusts adapters, myself included. I guess that's the other thing is that the adapter, they're not necessarily created equally either. This is an interesting question. Is it fair for the client to pay the live stream producer the same amount, regardless of whether they use hardware or software-based live stream production? I'm curious about some of the opinions on other people in the chat on this one. Let's drop some comments if you have any experience with this. My take on it is the client shouldn't really ever know the details of what you're using to make the stream run. They care about the end result, which is that the stream works. If you can deliver a stream that works well using just software, great. If you can deliver the stream that works with just hardware, great. The client really shouldn't care about that or know the difference. Obviously that's different if you're doing like renting equipment to them, but the if you're providing a product which is a live stream production, you're not renting the gear out, right? You are providing the service. So I don't think they should even know the difference between the two. Now it's whether you can deliver a reliable live stream with hardware or software or a combo of that is your problem, and you need to be sure that you... Let me rephrase that. The client should be aware of how much they're paying in terms of how much reliability they're getting. In other words, if the client wants full redundancy with 2 separate internet lines, 2 separate racks of gear, so that if one thing goes down, the stream stays up, the client should absolutely pay for that extra. Like, that is a different product than just running a live stream with less redundancy. So if they are not willing to pay for that, then don't bend over backwards to, bring twice the gear. So but whether that's software or hardware isn't really relevant to that question either. So like one way you could accomplish full redundancy is have a fully hardware-based stack and a fully software-based stack. And then if something goes wrong with one of them, that whatever went wrong probably won't go wrong on the other one, right? But that's the only way I would see that would be something the client should be aware of. Okay, we got some other opinions here. So Turn and Powell says it just has to stream and deliver. They don't care. You have to be one to guarantee that it will. Seabird says, I think it would be the same. The investment is the same whether you have invested time in the software or the money in the hardware. IT Never Gets Old says, what does fair have to do with anything? It's a marketplace which is competitive. Where was the fair thing? Oh, is it fair for the client to pay? Okay. No pay rate is ever fair to everybody. Ask two people, get two opinions. Yeah. So that's my take on it. Yeah, Steve agrees. Why would the price be different based on how it's done? I'd charge for the quality and redundancy. Exactly. How I reviewed the Fieldworld L4 switcher. I really like the 10-inch touchscreen. No, I don't have that one. I did demo a smaller version, but they haven't sent this one over yet. I think I remember seeing this at NAB though. That's one-star review on their own website. That's not good. Oh, and it's in French, so I cannot read that. Yeah, I remember seeing this at NAB, but I didn't ever do a proper demo of it. I wonder if they'll have it there again. Frankie says, I use LiveView and clients seem happier about using multiple connections. Okay, we got some YoloBox questions. I've been thinking about using the YoloBox Ultra for client work, but heard it's not reliable. What would you recommend on a budget for HDMI and graphics capable with less extra equipment? Well, I mean, I'm curious what reliability things you've heard. So, because there are definitely some problems, but it's not like it's just a black and white thing. I will say that it handles bad network connections better than a lot of other options, which is nice. But there will be like, because it's all software based, it does have some frame skipping issues, which I don't know if that's reliability, but like it isn't going to be a continuous 30 frames a second. It might skip a frame here and there based on what other work it's doing, just because it is CPU based. But I mean, I've had good luck with it, so I wouldn't say it's unreliable, but especially considering what it can do. So the alternate opinion from Jimmy, Atmos Ninja Cast Switcher is totally underrated. It's portable, DC USB cable and battery, and it's rock solid. It's got all the features of the YoloBox, but not got all the features of the YoloBox, but it's 100% reliable. If I remember correctly, so I did a demo of this one. I had it over here for a couple of weeks. It was a while ago, and I remember being not super impressed with it. I think it was mainly a switcher, but like not a lot of graphics capabilities, and the graphics that it did have were, I just felt like it was hard to use. But yeah, it is a hardware-based switcher, so it is much more like you're not going to have frame skipping because it's all done in hardware. But yeah, the Jimmy says the biggest issues I have with the YoloBox is inconsistent frame rates, which I think is a fair criticism, and this is something I want to push them on more, is try to fix that, because I think they don't quite understand how annoying it is for people. And yeah, Mike agrees. The frame skipping on the YoloBox drives me crazy. I feel like there's no reason why the Ultra shouldn't be stable at 1080p 30 with its processing power. I think that they need to spend some development cycles on prioritizing frame rate, consistent frame rate on this, and not keep adding features for a while. I think that would really help the product. That's my opinion. And Steve asks if I have heard any timeline on the YoloBox Pro update. Unfortunately not. I don't know. Sigmund says, "Hi Adam, I'm Aaron, not Adam." Everybody gets that wrong. I don't know why. They're very different names. I run an ATEM Extreme ISO, and I'm wanting an SSD recording in camera on a button push for a 3-camera setup. Clinchers, I want continuous autofocus. What are my options? Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. The so in-camera recording on a button push. Yeah, so with the Blackmagic cameras, you get the ability to trigger the cameras to record when you push the button on the ATEM, which is great. So you press record, it triggers all the cameras to record in camera. But that's specific to Blackmagic cameras, which don't have the best autofocus, continuous autofocus. Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to think like how else could you do that? Triggering the in-camera recording. You're not going to get it with ATEM integration, but you might be able to do it with other things. So actually, for example, I don't know. I don't remember which cameras have this now. I don't think mine do. So my cameras, the Lumix BGH1s, they do have network control, but I don't think I have companion integration with it. But like if your camera has network control of some sort, you could at least build a companion button that tells all your cameras to record. And it's not going to be exactly the same second, the way it is with the ATEM, but it's close enough, I think. But that's the only other way you'd be able to do it. What does so Companion does have Lumix Wi-Fi camera capability, but I've never tried connecting it to my BGH1s. But yeah, maybe that would work. But that just feels less reliable to me because then you're relying on them being connected over Wi-Fi. Mine are wired, so maybe it would be okay. I don't know. Interesting. Yeah. It's a tough one. I don't know. It's like, I just wish Blackmagic would make better continuous autofocus. I think that's it. I missed your last week's stream. Have you revealed Rode's secret product yet? No, not yet. But I can tell you that in 2 weeks you'll know what it is. It is being released at NAB at the beginning of NAB. So, I will be going to their booth first thing on Sunday, 2 weeks from now, at almost exactly this time, doing a little interview there and getting that video out ASAP. Yeah, I wish I could say more about it, but I really can't. Mike says, heartily agree. Please keep letting them know. Yeah, I think the best thing we can do for YoloBox right now is have everybody just keep saying how important the frame skipping issue is. IT Never Gets Old says, I think it has got to be difficult relying on a general purpose OS like Android or Mac OS or Windows or Linux as your foundation for your product. So many things going on under the hood. I agree. Although I know, so an interesting counterexample is the Epiphan Pearl Mini, or Epiphan Pearl line, including the Nano, which is in that rack. Even though I don't use it very much, I should really turn it on more often. It just has a slightly louder fan than I want it to have. But that is running Linux, and it seems rock solid to me. So I don't see any frame skipping issues on that, which is notable. Linux, not Android, definitely a difference there. The other interesting counterpoint to this is the Rodecaster Pro, the audio mixer. I know we're not talking about video here, but the Rodecaster product line is also running on Linux. So I'm assuming there's a lot of like audio hardware under the hood there, but these are little Linux boxes, and I don't know how much of it is. I don't know how much of the audio processing is done in software, but they're solid too. So yeah. Notably, those are Linux, not Android. So maybe it's an Android problem. Although the Director Mini is built on Android and also seems to be a little bit more stable. No frame skipping issues compared to the YoloBox. IDJ Mike says, I'm starting to wish I got the Director Mini over the YoloBox Ultra. Two big things that pushed me to the YoloBox was the web URL, which Director Mini didn't have, but after getting the Ultra doesn't work. They did do an update to that recently, so double check again, because I know I haven't done proper tests with it yet, but I've been seeing a lot of people commenting that the web graphics are working a lot better in the YoloBox now, so do check that out. Sigmund says, oh, thank you for the super chat. Apologies, Aaron, and thank you for the answer. Currently recovering from heart issues, and that's my only excuse for typing Adam. Appreciate you. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel bad. Thanks for the super chat. No problem. Christopher says, even Magewell Pro converts are an embedded Linux OS. A general purpose OS doesn't mean you can't have hardware assist. Yeah, true. Right. The Pro converts are also running Linux at the end of the day. None of these examples are Android, though. That's interesting. Except for the Director Mini, which is also Android. But yeah, I think the real thing is that, like, yeah, the Rodecaster Pro runs on Linux. Didn't know that, but it's a solid device. They just hide it very, very well. I do suspect there's a lot of some dedicated chips somewhere doing some of that work. But like as far as interface and like the touch screen goes, that's all in the Linux side of things, right? So I would assume that, like same with the Magewell, that there are chips for doing the actual video encoding, and it's not all CPU based. So I think where YoloBox is getting tripped up is that it is really just an Android device, and they didn't really add any video processing hardware in it. And so all the video work is done in software in the CPU. So everything is shared with that CPU. So Jimmy says, I'm swaying towards the Magewell, but it's just a 2 HDMI input. Yeah, that's the other big difference, is that the Magewell right now is just 2 HDMIs. They do have USB video in, so you can use it with webcams or a capture card. So yeah. Matt has checked every box, and nothing is stable as the Epiphan Video Line Pearl and Pearl Nano. It's interesting. Yeah, they do a good job. Graham says, isn't that hard to make a customized Linux with lots of the cruft stripped out? I wonder if they are ripping stuff out of Linux where YoloBox has to keep that stuff in to run the Instagram app. Yeah, but with the YoloBox Ultra, I guess they have the Instagram app in there. But yeah, if they're going to run the Instagram app, then it has to be a full regular Android OS. The fact that they use a Linux kernel does not mean it's a general purpose OS. That's one of the upsides of having an open source OS. Yep, it's true. I don't know what it takes to use Android that way. I don't know if that's possible. I mean, theoretically, Android is open source too, which is how YoloBox is able to use it for their, and Magewell is able to use it for their switchers. Do I use timecode at all in my setup? Not for the live stream at all, but I've started to experiment with it for some of the recordings, although I have found that it's just, my production goes faster if I record it in a way where timecode doesn't even end up mattering. Like, I live cut and I just explain out loud editing instructions. Like, when I'm doing stuff for edited videos, I'll be like, read a sentence out, and then if I didn't like the angle that, or if I know I want to show B-roll or something, I'll like change camera angles and then just explain like, oh, go put that over the thing I just said, right? Timecode is useful if you have like a bunch of cameras that are running at different times, filming something that's actually live. I did do one video recently that I relied heavily on timecode for. It was a demo of, what was it? It was, let's see if I can find it. It was, gosh, maybe it was this one. No, I can't remember now actually which one it was. But the reason I did it was because I used my handheld camera more often than I normally do when I was filming, and it was useful to be able to have that footage, the clips in that footage, automatically sync up with the timeline of everything else, in a way that if I didn't use timecode, having to collect clips from SD cards and figure out where they go is a giant mess. So I normally just try to film where that's not even a thing, because it's all one take and I'm just trimming or rearranging slightly, or the B-roll is very clear. Like I have some simple product shots or something that are easy to figure out where they go. Jimmy says, I love the concept of the YoloBox Ultra. If they fix the frame rate issues, I'll shout from the rooftops how great it is. This is how I felt at the very beginning when I first found the YoloBox. I was like, this seems like a perfect replacement for the SlingStudio, which is what I was coming off of at the time 4 years ago. And when I got the very first one, there were definitely some problems, and I sent them a huge PDF, and they did, to their credit, fix most of the issues. But I feel like this frame rate is like the last thing for them. They really need to solve that, because a lot of it is also like they have fixed a lot of the other problems, so they're definitely working on it. Technobuzz says, good morning, afternoon, or evening, all late today. Yeah, time zones, whatever. It's cool. You're here now. Welcome. IDJ Mike says, just about everything comes out with bugs or issues, but what we really need is live streamers or videography is reliability. I just started up my Rodecaster Pro 2 and it's not detecting my SD card. Oh no. Well, is that the SD card's fault maybe? I don't know. Might employing the Rodecaster Pro 2 as the audio device potentially resolve the mix minus issue in the YoloBox guest scenario? No, because if you're using the YoloBox guest feature, the audio from the guest comes into the YoloBox itself. It's not something you can grab separately. If you're using something else for your remote guest feature, then you can bring that into the Rodecaster and do mix minus in the Rodecaster. But the point of the YoloBox remote guest feature is that it's built into the YoloBox, so they need to change the audio mix in the YoloBox itself. Yeah. Thanks for the reminder, Frankie. Don't forget to hit the like button for this stream. Sling abandoned their hardware a few years back, right? As far as I can tell, the SlingStudio product is dead. Like it's I think the website even finally disappeared. It was a oh, this website's still up. Okay. So it was like a offshoot of Sling Media, which is like the Sling box for cable TV recording and stuff. But as far as I could tell, this was like a separate team that got spun up to do this product, and maybe it didn't sell as much as they expected, but they, as far as I can tell, abandoned, like the team doesn't exist anymore. They're not doing any development on it. I've never actually like, it looks like it's alive, but, and it's annoying because like it was really good. It was surprisingly good. I really like one of my favorite things about it was that the camera transmitters are, I like how they're showing with drones. The camera transmitters are this little box, and then you plug in a camera to that, and that links up to your hub. But you could also use a phone, a capture app, and just use a phone as a source as well. But because you have this little camera link thing, it doesn't have to be a camera that you're plugging in. It could be a computer screen or whatever. And this is something that nobody else has quite got right yet. You can kind of cobble it together now using NDI. So if you use an NDI screen capture app on your computer, you can bring your computer screen into a YoloBox wirelessly now, which is great progress. Same with the Director Mini, because you can add an NDI source in the Director Mini. So we're close with NDI. I don't love that it's NDI that is required to make that work, but at least it's something. But like the Logitech, for example, this is something that they need to add. I'm gonna give them this feedback now that this is launched. But with the Logitech Mevo cameras, this is getting to close to the SlingStudio kit scenario of like there isn't actually a hub box like the SlingStudio, but it's an iPad app, and these cameras sync up with the iPad app directly. The big thing that's missing is how do I bring in non-cameras into the stream? And one way could be NDI, but it'd be better if there was like this box without the lens, without the sensor, just an HDMI input like this. And I could take that little dongle, plug it into a computer screen or a computer, and then mirror a screen into the Mevo app. That would be super handy. So yeah, hopefully they will do that. How did Frank from YoloLive manage to have you as a remote guest on his show recently? Was there any delay? From my point of view, no more delay than any other video conferencing system. So the normal like split-second Zoom delay where sometimes you accidentally talk over somebody because you both started talking at the same time. But no, like as far as the guest side, it was exactly like I would want it to be. It was clean. It was like I saw what was happening on the screen. I could tell if I was on screen or not. I could hear Frank just fine. No really noticeable delay. From his point of view, it was different because he was hearing himself on his in his earphones on a delay, which is just like the normal YoloBox audio processing delay. But even like 100 milliseconds of delay listening to yourself is unbearable. It's really unbearable. Even right now, because my audio I'm syncing up my audio to my camera, and the HDMI of the camera is slightly delayed. If I put on my headphones and listen to myself, it's like 4 frames of delay or something. What is that? 4/30. So 130 milliseconds of delay. And it's distracting enough that I just don't wear my headphones to listen to myself because it takes a lot of practice to be able to get used to that amount of delay. And that's 130 milliseconds. So Eric says, I think Frank's words were, it was torture. Yes. He managed still very well on the stream despite hearing himself, but I think he actually understands that problem now. Matt says, I've been really critical of YoloLive. Last week before Aaron on the live stream, me and Frank had a 30-minute chat, and I think he gets it. 1 of 2. 2 of 2. Especially after his live stream with Aaron, it didn't have mix minus. Yeah. So, and then Frank did recently share a post in the Facebook group that YoloBox will be getting the mix minus very soon. I think he understands how important it is now. Sometimes the owner of the company has to suffer at his own hands, life choices to make a change. Yeah. Great. Okay. Oh, cool. A couple of new questions from some new folks. Thanks for joining. With the YoloLive Ultra, now I can bring production window output, for example, from Ecam. How can I bring production window output, for example, from Ecam or OBS into YoloLive? You're doing a stream in Ecam or OBS and you want to bring it into the YoloBox? HDMI out from the computer in some form. So Ecam can use a display as a program output. I don't remember the menu for it, but somewhere in there's like use a monitor as a program out. OBS has it also, so it's this one. I think you have to it's weird. You have to right click on the window and then it's full screen. No, projector, shoot, preview. I thought it was I think that's what it is. And then it will send this out full screen on one of your monitors. I only have 2 monitors connected. One is my computer screen that I'm using right now, and the other is the teleprompter, so I'm not going to do that. But if you plug in a third monitor or a second or third monitor, you can do that. The other way to do it, which is how I actually am using OBS, is through a external card. So in DeckLink, that's what it's called. This is a Blackmagic device. It's a little box that plugs in over Thunderbolt to the computer. And they make a couple different sizes depending on what you're doing with it. But the small one is relatively affordable, and it works the same way, where you can choose the choose that device, plug it over Thunderbolt, choose that device, and then whatever's in your OBS will be output over HDMI. And the nice thing about that is that it doesn't take up your a monitor. It doesn't work like a monitor on the computer, so you're not using one of your monitor slots like on how the Macs only let you plug in one external monitor. And you don't have to worry about like, is your cursor going to show up, or like, are you going to accidentally drag a window over there or something like that? So I recommend that for sure. Matt says, do I have a Tail Air link affiliate link? I got an unexpected refund due to overpayment, so I think about getting one. Power combo. I do. I have a link. Let me drop it into the chat. There it goes. See if that worked. I think that worked. Cool. Well, thanks for using the affiliate link. It definitely helps. If you want to buy it directly from Obsbot, I think that ends up with the best kickback to me. So if you're willing to do that. IDJ Mike says, remember the Tail Air is not great for long range view, is more of an up close and personal camera. I would look at the AV Cans, which has 20x and comes with NDI at no extra charge. I've never even heard of that one. Yeah, the Tail Air doesn't have optical zoom, so the zoom is digital. So that's the only thing, is that if you're expecting to be able to zoom in a bunch, it will lose resolution. But if you just need like wide shots, it's great. I think it's fine. Nicholas says, do you have a suggestion on how to transmit a live stream from the main location to a second location in the Blackmagic system and record the stream at the second location and then play it back as a what? As a recording with a time delay. For example, via ProPresenter. The transmission has to happen via WAN. Ooh, wow. This is an interesting challenge. I did do something like this actually a while back. We were broadcasting a poker game, and they wanted the poker game on a delay because otherwise they might be able to pull up the video and look at other people's hands and stuff. But so we had it on like a 5-minute delay. It was a complicated little rig, and I had to use a computer for part of it in order to do the delay, just because I haven't found hardware that can do like recording and playback continuously on a delay that long without having it be like a actual recorder where you're like stopping and starting. But if you're broadcasting on a time delay, that's a particular challenge. So two parts to your question. Getting a stream from one location to a second location using Blackmagic gear is pretty straightforward. And that is any of the ATEM Mini or the ATEM Television Studio with the streaming encoder in it, or the web presenter as a streaming encoder, which is this little box, which is actually what I'm streaming this stream with right now. That's your transmitter side. And on the receiver side, you use the web presenter, which I still don't understand where it went in their little product lineup. Maybe we're going to get a new one of those this year at NAB. Because it used to be in the ATEM. Oh, it's on the ATEM Mini's page. Right. There it is. Makes no sense. This is the diagram. So some sort of ATEM encoder or web presenter, and then this on the other end. And this can go over the internet or the local network. And if you use the web presenter, you can stream over SRT, which can give you a better result than RTMP. Video about that is coming out this week. This will get you the video out on the other end. And then if you wanted that on delay, that's a different problem. So at this point, you have in your remote, your second location. What was your question? Second location, you want to record it. Well, you have an HDMI out, so you run it into any recorder. If you want to play that back with a time delay, if you want to play back like while it's still recording, that's complicated. If you just want to record, stop, go rewind and press play and play that back at the second location, then any kind of recorder will work for that. So a HyperDeck, if you're Blackmagic, the HyperDecks would work for that. They're not too hard to use. They have buttons on the front so you can navigate clips and hit play and that kind of thing. Or if you want to record it into a computer, you can do that too, because again, it's just HDMI out of the streaming bridge. Hopefully it gives you some ideas. There's definitely a lot of different ways to solve that, so it's kind of a complicated answer, sorry. Matt says, I B&H because I get it at a nice discount because of how much I buy. Well, that works too, thanks. B&H is great. How much do you buy? Because I feel like I buy a lot and I don't get a B&H discount. Switzerland in the Philippines says, which streaming software do you use here? I actually have a video about the whole setup here if you're curious. It's on my channel relatively recently. And I'm entirely in hardware. So you can't see it, it's behind this light, but that monitor is showing me the streaming bridge output or streaming web presenter output, which is what's actually encoding the stream. I can put it up on another screen here. So the stream is actually being encoded by that box, little third rack mount box, and that is what is doing the encoding to YouTube. That's just HDMI in. So everything else is just getting HDMI into that box to do the encoding. But yeah, I have a whole video about that. Now it's up there. So that's what it looks like. It's got status of like audio, bitrate. I can see it's on air. I can see it that's going to YouTube and the frame rate and all that stuff. So I like that box. Can you show me which DeckLink you said is affordable? I found many on their website. Yeah, sure. Let me see if I can actually get the link. Okay, I'll drop that in the chat, but I'll show you also. So it should be in the chat now. So the DeckLinks are the expensive ones. Where is that? Capture and playback. So you can get cards if you have a PC or a Thunderbolt dock. I actually recently got this. I got, where is it? Oops. It is the DeckLink. Which one did I get? Oh my God, where'd it go? No, it has 4 SDIs on it. There it is, Quad Duo, that's the one. I got that recently, so I have 4 SDI outs. But these are kind of expensive, but you can do that if you have the ability to put it into a computer or use a enclosure. The Ultrastudio 4K Mini is also kind of expensive, but this has a lot more features than you need for this. The one that I was talking about is this one, the Ultrastudio 3G. And this is actually, if you go down to the small ones, where do they even have it on here? Yeah, it's not even on their main page. It's the Ultrastudio Monitor 3G. So this is Thunderbolt in, SDI and HDMI out. And then OBS can use this as a video output. And the nice thing is this is pretty affordable. It's only $125. So that's a good entry level way to start experimenting with this. And then if that's working well for you, then you could look at, oh, you need to do multiple video outs from a computer, or you need to be able to capture. Then you go into some of the bigger ones. Christopher says, lots of people have had issues with Web Presenter and ATEMs filling their buffer and stalling out even with good network connectivity. Has this been fixed? I have not had a problem with this with good network connectivity. So never been a problem for me. I suspect that it's happening when there's not good network connectivity. So, and by not good, I mean the slightest problem it'll fall over. So, they're definitely not good at bad networks. I think this is different with SRT. Now that the Web Presenter and Streaming Bridge can do SRT, which I should really test that. But I suspect that's going to do a lot better. There's no SRT in the ATEMs yet, but maybe that'll come out. I don't know. But no, as far as I know, nothing has changed with the RTMP version of that. Matt says, 800,000 last year, company. Even though I'm retired as a consultant, we buy the equipment we put in. Okay. I have not spent 800,000 at B&H, thankfully. Technobuzz joined as a channel member. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, more questions. How are we doing on time? We have time. Don't forget to thumbs up. Okay. Let me scroll back. Oh, from Rodney, I totally missed this earlier. Is there a way to add markers using an ATEM in a live stream or multicam recording so you can remove swear words or other mess ups after? There's nothing like built in, so you're gonna have to do this externally somehow. I really wish, since it is making a resolve project in the ISO, I wish they just had a button on there, which was add marker to your resolve timeline. But there are some other solutions for it, like external logger applications and things like that. Getting it synced up with the video will always be the challenge. So sometimes they use timecode, sometimes they use audio to sync, or just time of day even. If you put your ATEM into time of day mode and then you use a logger that's just time of day, then your timecode is the time of day and that works. But I don't have a ton of, I don't have anything off the top of my head I can recommend, but I know I've definitely seen things for that. Graham says, my ATEM was struggling on a reasonably good network until I switched to using RTMP for YouTube rather than RTMPS. That makes sense. RTMPS is going to be additional overhead as well, so yeah. About Blackmagic Studio Camera 4K G2, biggest challenge has been remote controlling over the network for me. Even though there's a REST API, there's not software that can control it except the ATEM Mini. There is a REST API, which means if you are willing to do a little bit of work until Companion adds support for it, you could plug in the API commands into Companion using HTTP. So a couple of my integrations have just raw HTTP commands to different things. So that's that can work. Hopefully somebody builds a HTTP or a REST API integration for Companion soon, because that'll be the best way to do it after that. It's relatively new, so I wouldn't expect it to be available yet, but yeah, hopefully somebody builds that, because that would be the best. David Joshua Ford had a live stream on how to do that. Oh, cool. Okay, that's great. Oh, this is a good tip from Graham. If you're only using HDMI inputs on your ATEM, then you could add something on mic 2 and see that in your DaVinci timeline. I hadn't even considered that. You're right. If you have a noisemaker device, it actually could just be a microphone. Take a little microphone capsule and use it as a button. Because if you like tap the mic itself, it will make a really big spike in the audio, and that would show up in your timeline. That's a thought. Or if you have like some device that has a button you can press that makes a sound, like a tone, you could use that to. But then, yeah, when you bring it into your timeline, you'll see your audio track, and you would see those really quickly in your timeline. It's a good tip. my audio is crackling suddenly. Is that on my end, or is that on your YouTube end? I can't imagine why it would change. It sounds fine to me. D Green says, how do I save my stream key in the ATEM software control so that it's available when the ATEM is powered back up? Good question. Good news is it's really easy. Let me go back to my small ATEM. So if you're on your ATEM and you've put in your stream key, which I do, so I'm not going to show it to you, otherwise it'll show it on the stream. The trick is there's a menu option up here in File. It's called Save Startup State. So if you tap that, then it like locks everything into the ATEM, and then if you power cycle it, it all comes back. And in the ATEM minis, except the original mini, but all the other ones in the ATEM mini line, it'll save everything, including your graphics. So all your media pool will come right back when it boots up, which is nice. The only trick with that is make sure that it'll save everything, including like what cameras are active, and all your macros and stuff will get saved. So if you change anything that you want to be there when you reboot it, make sure you press that often. It won't auto save that. No crackling here. I think his desk is rubbing against his mic pole. The mic is bolted to the desk, so that's not possible. The microphone up here is attached to the pole that is bolted to the desk. So even if I wiggle my desk, which it is a little bit wobbly, you can, yeah, you can tell that's all moving, but like it's all moving together, so there's no rubbing. What happens with input 1 of the ATEM Mini Pro? Is it true that it's different? Yeah, so it is different. The reason that it's different is because there's a setting in the ATEM in your output section. This one has two. Actually, SDI is a bad example. So I have to go to the HDMI ATEM, which I believe is... It's on my other network, so it doesn't auto-discover. There it is. This is the ATEM Mini Extreme. So I have two outputs here, output 1 and 2. On the ATEM Mini Pro and ISO, there's just one output. But here, see how I can choose any of my sources, but I also have this one, which is the same name as camera 1, but it's called Direct. That's special to HDMI 1. And notice if I go to output 2 on the Extreme, I get the option of 2 Direct. So what's happening is it's able to route the video signal to the HDMI output without going through the video processing loop. So if you output this camera over HDMI, there's like 1 frame delay. But if you do direct, it bypasses the processing loop and there's no delay. And that's for if you're using it as a computer screen or for gaming and you need to just see it on the monitor. That's what that's for. That's why input 1 is special. So on the minis, it's just input 1, and on the Extreme, it's input 1 and 2, corresponding to HDMI 1 and 2 out. The way that it works is it's actually a different HDMI chip that is getting the signal on the input. So it's a different chip for input 1 compared to the rest. And because of that, there's been some compatibility issues with plugging some things into that. Will work on 1 but not work on 2, or they'll work on input 2 but not on input 1, and it's kind of random and you can never really tell what's going on. But if you're seeing that different behavior, that's why. Okay, no audio, no crackling. Slight noise when I'm typing or touching the desk, yeah, because it is all bolted together. Emmanuel said I restarted the stream on YouTube and now it's fine. This is strange, but it's working fine again. Random glitch. Okay, I'm scrolling back through the questions here. Wow, there's so many questions today. This is great. IT Never Gets Old says, if you're using a MacBook Air and you want more than 2 displays, I know you can use the Thunderbolt hub with DisplayLink drivers and any issues with this for video production. So weirdly, the Elgato Prompter also uses DisplayLink. So it's not connected as a HDMI or whatever that DisplayPort or whatever that is. So it doesn't count against the monitor limit. It does mean you have to install the driver, which is weird, but it seems to be working fine. The other weird side effect of it is on my computer screen, I have this little this little icon up here now, which is saying that I'm sharing a screen to this monitor, this is what happens if like in Zoom I share my screen. It's because it's all like through the software, I guess. So it's a little annoying that this is showing up here, but that is how it works on Mac. It seems to be working fine. I'm not running this. This is obviously slightly different than your question, but because this is just going into that teleprompter and that's the end of it. But I imagine if you're using that for into a device that has HDMI out, I think it would be fine. IDJ Mike says, is your network 1 gig, 2.5, or 10? I'm in the process of setting up pfSense with 10 gig LAN and 2.5 gig WAN. Good thing I don't have hair. I'd pull it out all out working with compatibility. Everything here is 1 gig so far. I've started to add some 10 gig. So I have 10 gig switches in the closet, that desk, and or that rack, just for like the uplinks between things. And I guess actually within that rack, there's 10 gig links between some of the switches as well, using like direct copper direct connect cables. And the but yeah, everything else is gigabit, including my uplink to the fiber connection. And I have zero plans to upgrade anything to 2.5 gig. It just seems like weird. So it seems like just upgrade to 10 gig if you're going to do the upgrade, because you have to get new gear anyway. So I'm going to skip 2.5 entirely. And I am planning on a lot of 10 gig stuff in the house. So in 10 gig link between this building and the other building, and then within their 10 gig stuff to a lot of places. So we'll see. We'll see. Oh, Steve, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for putting up with all my questions. I'm an old man learning new things. I appreciate it. Be sure to get backwards compatible. Then there's some 10 gigs that will not support 2.5. Yeah, I haven't bought too much 10 gig gear yet. Oh, this is a good point from Andrew. DisplayLink is compressed, so it's not ideal for critical viewing applications. Yeah, that's a good point. It's not full res like HDMI is. So I mean, the teleprompter looks fine. I'm not seeing compression artifacts, but I can imagine that in some situations that might be, depending on what the content is. Bravo says, I want to use the back cameras on the iPhone, so I need a monitor to see myself and possibly record. Back cameras on the iPhone. Oh, you want to use your iPhone with the good cameras like this. So you need a way to have a monitor on the front. You should be able to just use an HDMI adapter to go out into a monitor. That should work. I don't see why not. But yeah, I agree. That's a little weird problem. Oh, wait. There was this was the longer version of your question. I'm looking for a way to have a monitor while filming with the iPhone 15. I was considering the Ninja V. Is there such thing as using a CF Express card with Ninja V, or is there a different monitor? I haven't used the Ninja V, but I thought there was one of the Ninja products that uses CF Express cards anyway. But yeah, do check out also randomly related to this. Check out the Blackmagic camera app for iPhone, because that gives you a lot more control, and you can record on the new iPhones. You can record to SSDs from the iPhone, so that's also useful. But yeah, or a mirror, I guess so. If you're on the same network as a smart TV, you can mirror your phone to the TV using Chromecast or something like that. Yeah, it's true. I can put up the Apple TV on the TV back there, and then mirror my phone to that. And now if I launch the Blackmagic camera app, now I get my phone up there, so I can use this to film myself now and see myself on a screen up there. So if I was looking at that, obviously that would work better. But yeah, you can see whatever's on my phone is on that screen now. That can work. There's a little bit of a delay, so it's not it's definitely not in sync with your audio, but probably good enough for monitoring yourself. So that's an option. David says, how can you add lower third banners on a podcast not live using the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO? If you're just, editing, if you're not live, or do you mean in your video editor? Because that's just however you want at that point. Not really specific to the ATEM at all. Like, take your ATEM Extreme ISO recordings into a video editor, Resolve, Final Cut, doesn't matter, and just do your graphics there if you're not doing it live. If you want to bake it in to the recordings that you don't have to edit, then you're going to want to prep all your graphics and load them into the ATEM, and then you need something that can actually switch them. So if I show you this, like, here's the graphics in this ATEM. This is what Lily uses for her stream. This is the one that's upstairs. She has this set of graphics that she uses. So it's like the donut ratings, for how many stars. There's ad for her forum. There's the Budgetober lower third. But these are all loaded into the ATEM, created ahead of time, and then you can create macros or Stream Deck buttons. Is a lot easier to load these in. So then if you go over to so here's her Stream Deck. Her buttons look like, here's like the donut. So these, if you look at this will be like, okay, 4 stars. This does a series of actions. So it'll be like, okay, turn off the downstream key, switch the graphic in the media pool, set the downstream key 1 to use that graphic in the media pool, and then turn it on with a 50 millisecond delay. And then she pushes the button, and the graphic comes on the screen, and now it's baked into the video. That is one way to do it. The other way to do it is using a external video or external software to generate the lower third. So if you don't have time to prep all the graphics ahead of time that much, then, oops, apparently I haven't downloaded this on this computer yet. Let's download this really quick. You can use any kind of software you want for generating lower thirds, and then feed it in over HDMI and use it as a downstream key into your ATEM. And that any kind of software will work for that. One option, which is free, is called H2R Graphics. There's a paid version of it, but the basic version is free. I'll link that in the chat. And this is what it looks like. So basically it gives you this whole interface to create lower thirds and then output it over something. And again, that's going to be like, you can output it full screen over a monitor and send the monitor into your switcher, or you can pull it into OBS and then have OBS send it out of a DeckLink or Ultrasstudio card like we were talking about earlier. What are you doing says this very well. If you are doing live cutting for final recording and not editing cuts later, treat it as if you're doing live. So yeah, basically, if you don't want to do post-production on that, then you are doing a live stream, even if you're not streaming it to YouTube. But treat it as if you're streaming to YouTube. Matt says, that's why we installed the Epiphan Video Nano instead, because the 30 we have install actually no issues. Expensive and overkill, but it saves money. The nice thing about those is they have that remote management tool too, so really good for remote setups. I'm about to buy 25 of the Amaran 60X for 25 remote installs. My only word of caution here is that the Amaran remote control is relies on Bluetooth, so it's local. So you can't remote control it from like a different city. I wish that wasn't true, but you would have to, like, if you want to be able to remotely turn them on, you can put them on a power switch, but that's not going to let you change the settings. So I don't know if that's important to your installs, but that's the one downside. Christian says, I've run a bunch of experiments using PowerPoint animations and keying out the green. What I'd like to understand is what's the cheapest method would be to achieve an overlaid alpha transparency, specifically referring to overlaying a video with a transparent alpha channel. So using PowerPoint or Keynote or anything like that live, there is no alpha channel because just of how computers work. So there's no alpha channel, but you can chroma key it out to overlay it on top. Obviously, it's not perfect. Like you can't have green in your graphics if you're using a green for chroma key, that kind of thing. So it's not a proper alpha channel. If you want a real alpha channel, you have to use something that's not Keynote or PowerPoint in order to create the graphics with the alpha channel in the first place, and it can't go over your monitor out. One example is how I'm doing the chat. So in OBS, I have a web page which is loaded into OBS, and let me show your comment. This web page in HTML has a transparent background. And if I put something else on the screen, you'll see what I mean. Let's make a color source. Oh, great. Let's give it a different color. And then this is actually on stream because OBS is outputting over the stream. Let me move this down below the chat to demonstrate what I mean. So, okay, so this is a color source in OBS, and it should, is the sources list not the same as the order? I guess not. Move to bottom. Oh, is it opposite? Order, move to top. Order, move to bottom. There we go. So it is behind the chat, and I'm showing you this because demonstrating that even though this chat web page is full screen, it has a transparent background. So that means this thing is actually has an alpha channel in it. Can I give it a, actually, can I make this translucent? Is there a, I don't know if that's a thing in OBS. Is that, can I set the opacity of an object? I don't know if I can. Color source. It wasn't in filters. Blending mode. Here we go. This should do it. Let's multiply. Nope. That didn't work. Blending mode. Screen. Problem is it's on transparent. So how do I just want it to be partially translucent. I never do this, so huh. There we go. It's in the color settings. Okay. Did that work? Why didn't that work? Oh, that's just color of in OBS. Is there an opacity here? There it is. Okay. That's what I wanted to show you. Now you can see that when it's being overlaid on the actual stream, it is actually translucent and there's an actual alpha channel here. The reason this works is because what I'm doing, and now I need to show you, yeah, so that's still in OBS, and you can see it's partially translucent. You're seeing through it. I need a multi-view in my ATEM to show you what's going on. So I'm going to steal multi-view 3, which is, I think, not doing anything right now. And if I change what's in my multi-view 3, I can put my camera in one, so you can see me. I can put my computer in the other. I can put the two, here it is, Ultrasstudio Fill and Ultrasstudio, where'd you go? 25, 35, Ultrasstudio Key, okay. And now I can show you, cross your fingers. I can show you multi-view 3. Aha, okay, it worked. So in OBS, what I'm showing you here is that there's actually 2 video signals coming into the ATEM. So on the left, Ultrasstudio Fill, that's the color channel. And on the right, over there, is the alpha channel. So it's a separate, full separate SDI port going to the ATEM, and that is the alpha channel. So if I make this, if I change the color to be slightly more opaque, that gray is going to get brighter. Or if I go down, the gray is going to get darker. And that's how much of the fill channel to use. So what was the question? I forgot the question. The question was, from Christian, right? PowerPoint keying out the green. What's the cheapest method to do an overlaid alpha transparency? So you need to generate the graphics with something that has an alpha channel, which Keynote and PowerPoint don't. So Web, for example, will do it. But then you need a device that can send both channels, separate video feeds, out to the ATEM. And that cheapest is, if you have, this is $1,000. This is what I'm using. It has key fill output. Does this one? This one might actually, and that's $500. That's much better. HD Mini, so not 4K, that's fine. Yeah, okay, this one does. So this is not too bad. SDI out, AB, gives you the key and fill channel. That's not too bad at 500. The other option is these cards, and I think some of these cards are cheaper than that, but it's hard to find them now. They really mess up their site, I feel like. I don't want that one. I want DeckLink family models. There we go. So 3G SDI, that's only one channel. That's $500 also. So this isn't cheaper. Okay, so the cheapest one is going to be, I would just get the Thunderbolt version. Oops, capture and playback. This one will give you the actual key fill. Can you use two Ultrastudio 3Gs? I don't think so, because in OBS, in order to use the feature, DeckLink output, you can only choose one device. So I can't send the alpha channel out a separate device, if that makes sense. So you choose the device and then you tell it external keyer, and that sends different things out the two ports of that device. I've seen people do this with H2R graphics with two external monitors, but the downside with that is that they're not exactly in sync. So there might be a frame off here and there. And then that can really mess up your graphics. So that's the benefit of having it all in one box, is you get it actually frame accurate. JTR says, how much latency is ATEM Mini Pro with the streaming bridge stream? I assume you mean streaming bridge. It actually depends on what you're doing with it. So the if you're on a local network, the latency can be almost nothing. It's about as good as you can get. And if you're on the internet, then it's going to be more. So totally, unfortunately, depends on your network link. There is a way to do it using only OBS in studio mode. Oh. You're right, I remember this now. This might mess up my whole stream. Let's find out. So in studio mode, you get side by side, and if I remember correctly, you can output program separately from preview now. I don't know how to do it, but good. Go watch John's video about it, and then maybe now you can actually output I guess you can output the preview to a different device. So if you can get the preview to show only the alpha channel, that would work. I don't know how to do that, but if John has video, great, go watch that. So the key is generated by the device, not by OBS. OBS is aware of the alpha channel, but it sends the video with the alpha channel to the device, and the device is generating the two video signals to go out to the ATEM. So OBS is not sending two video signals out, if that makes sense. Oh boy, okay, so many questions. We're gonna have to wrap this up because we've been going a long time, which means I'm not gonna get to all the questions. Matt says it's for a large nonprofit to upgrade their country director's video for remote guests on people shows 25 streamer X cameras, mics, 25 basic studio installs. That sounds like a lot of fun. Over under on Magewell releasing a new Pro Convert units at NAB. We would like to see a 12G SDI decoder. I have no idea what to expect from Magewell this time. That would be cool though, I agree. Are there any limitations to the number of scenes you can create? I don't know the answer to that, actually. I feel like I've created a bunch and I've always run out of, by the time I've created so many, it's like awkward to find them. So I don't want to create any more than that. So that hasn't come up. Is it somehow possible to get an iPad show on a screen in full screen? I've noticed that the iPad really wants to shrink its output and not be full, not take advantage of the full 1920 by 1080. I think it's because the aspect ratio of the iPad screen is not full screen. Some apps will have a mode where they can go, the app can output 1920 1080 from the app's video that it's generating, which is not the same as screen mirroring. Okay, I'm going to skim through this and we're going to wrap this up because we've been going for too long and my face is getting tired. Who is going to NAB? I'm curious because I will hopefully see you there. I don't currently have a meetup planned, but there's a couple of other YouTubers who I'm chatting with who we might try to do something one of the days, and it'll be open to anybody for coming. So if you're there, stay tuned, and I'll at least post about it on like my community tab on YouTube and in the Discord for members. But it'd be fun to hang out. Otherwise, I'll be around the show floor. Come say hi. I will be busy, I'll be running around filming, but feel free to jump in and say hi. Yeah, okay, cool. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm jealous of all of Aaron's multi-views. It is fun with the giant ATEM. NAB rumors? Well, I know of a couple of things that I can't talk about now, so no rumors from me. But do stay tuned because I'm gonna hopefully have some videos out quick at NAB. NAB is a bit too far away, true. Maybe IBC for you. Sean will be at NAB again this year. Great. We'll see you there. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks, everybody. This has been fun. Thanks for all the questions. I will be here next week. So thanks to all of the channel members for your support. I will be here next week. I will be streaming and scrambling to pack for NAB. Probably do a little what's in my camera bag for NAB demo live stream or something, and then I will be off, and hopefully it all goes well. It'll be fun. I've got some business cards to make still and mic flags, so yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully I will see you there. Thank you all. Thanks for the questions. Always new and interesting questions. So much learning, remembering what you forgot. True. Even for me. With that, I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Enjoy the sun. If it's sunny where you are, it is extremely sunny here today. So I'm going to go hang out on the roof, and then yeah, have enjoyed some of the sun today. With that, we will see you all again next week, and goodbye.